Salty Badger arriving. Hello, my name is Salty, and I'm a motorcycle addict. Welcome to tonight's meeting of degenerates and a few honorable, uncorrupted souls, but that is still up for debate, which would make that political. So I'm back again with a special guest edition of Chopper Talk. Let off that throttle, pull in that clutch, put on the brake, and sit back and relax while we talk. Look at what I conjured up on a two-wheel fun. From within the Badger set, a different type of hole. Don't forget this off-season. Please remember those of us riders suffering through winter with PMS, parked motorcycle syndrome. Our bikes suffer too. I'm still trying to convince my wife motorcycles are a good financial investment. She doesn't agree, but I may have conjured up a way that she may be somewhat of agreement of it on the aspects of choppers. I will not forget to unrestrain her and ask later if she is still more sociable mood. If not, I'm willing to trade one basket case for another. Maybe you'll have better luck with her than I do. Let's sit back and talk about motorcycles. The lifestyle is all about the adventure. Most of all, remember, chopping ain't easy. If I wanted to ride something easy, I would have called your girlfriend. This special guest edition of Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road is coming to you live through StreamYard on YouTube from the Badger set and streaming to you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the popular streaming platforms. Without further ado, let's get chopping. See what this episode of Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road takes us. That guest is backstage. I don't want to keep him back there any longer, so we will start this evening off. Tonight's special guest on Salty Badger's Chopper Talk Tales from the Road is Duke Butler, chopper builder and motorcycle enthusiast. Join me as I learn more about his journey on two wheels. Yep. Thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate your time. Everything I know gets busy breaking into your evening, so we'll start it off with that first question, and that first question is going to be: when was your first memorable motorcycle experience?
For me, it was growing up when riding dirt bikes. I think that was it. As a kid, we had a neighbor who had a bunch of dirt bikes. His dad would fix them, and we just go ripping around in the woods. And I think JD.
Mine was, like I said earlier when we were talking off camera, was when I was riding on my dad's tank. And I guess before that, I had something else. I was very young. My dad had just gotten home, and I grabbed his exhaust with both hands. So I burnt the crap out of my hands, but thank God I don't remember that.
Yeah, you just did. That's kind of like burning the experience right into you.
Well, I don't remember it, but people tell me it happened.
Right,
drunk morning after.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing, and then
right. So, but yeah,
I mean that we all have dirt bikes is a good place to start too because it doesn't hurt as bad when you fall off in the dirt as it does when you fall off on the concrete. But
which happens.
Yes. Yep. So, who is your biggest influence in regards to motorcycles?
I think for me, it's Indian Larry. Obviously, from a chopper standpoint, like he was sort of, one of the icons. And then, Evel Knievel. Evel Knievel was one of those guys who do some crazy stuff. He'd wipe out and get right back up and do it again. So I think those are two. And then obviously there's a lot of builders out there that I think, I admire quite a bit. And then what do you think?
I was thinking Travis Pastrana. I don't know. He's done some crazy stuff on motorcycles. But it was more the building part. Jesse,
Yeah, Jesse James.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's where I was at.
I mean,
my era.
I can agree with Jesse James thing. I mean, when he was in Long Beach and I was in the service in Long Beach, I had the pleasure of meeting him at the early years in the early 90s, which for me, that was huge, and I mean, he wasn't where he's at now at that time, but he was on the up and coming part. So I still look back at that. There were some drag races that were blown up on the in the industrial area in Long Beach, and he was pretty fluent in there, and people kind of knew who he was we didn't, being from this area, because he hadn't quite blown up yet. So that was pretty neat.
Yep.
So how long have you guys been riding for?
Oh, since I was a kid. I mean, yeah, a long time because I'm getting older. And so, Joe,
I was
same.
kind of a crazy kid, so I couldn't ever get a motorcycle. But once I became an adult and I could afford it, my first bike was a VFR 750, and I paid $1,000 for it, and that was probably 2013.
Old Ironhead. Yeah, that's what mine. First real bike.
Yeah, they I don't think we really grow up when we're in the motorcycle club culture. I don't think there's a growing up factor to that. I think we're all just kids at heart in it.
I remember looking out this window while we're doing like road trips, and picturing me on
Yeah.
a dirt bike jumping over like areas and then landing it, and just picturing that the whole time. I always wanted a motorcycle, but I would
Yep.
picture myself on motorcycles all the time.
So what was your first motorcycle that started the whole thing off?
I had been working around and screwing around with some different bikes before, but Dreamsicle is probably the first, we're just two guys. We're not a shop. We're two guys in 150 square feet of space, in a home garage. And so, I wanted to, for my 50th, I wanted to build a bike. And then, everybody told us you can't build a show bike because we sort of, and then, the hold my beer, watch this type thing happened.
Well, in my opinion, though,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be a show bike. It was going to be something for you for
Yeah,
your
yeah,
50th
it was a
birthday, and it
Panhead.
ended up being a freaking show
Yeah.
bike.
I wanted
It
to
was-
do a Panhead.
I just wanted to give him a 50th birthday present.
So the two of us
That
just
was it.
started working on Dreamsicle. And then, sort of the next thing that happened was,
'Cause I thought you planned on riding it.
yeah, oh,
So
yeah.
that's what we were building.
We didn't get to ride it much because then we ended up selling
But it
it.
just ended up being money.
Well, that never was planned either. So
Right.
we never expected. We were just, screwing around. So we're in here breaking Harbor Freight tools like it's our job.
And
Yeah, yeah, parts because his Ugga Dugga is a little bit more than most guys.
Right.
So,
I two of
a
everything.
little extra spare parts. But yeah, it was, about 5 years ago we started working on this bike, and we're lucky enough to have, incredible painter Killer B here in town, and a lot of buddies that actually are bike guys and builders and shop
We're
guys.
friends.
And so so it was
Yeah.
about 5 years ago.
That Dreamsicle bike, that I mean, I've seen a couple of the other builds too. They're all spectacular, but that Dreamsicle bike was awesome.
That was
that turned out really good.
yeah, and
And the
yeah.
reason why we did it is because we love each other and we just had fun building it in the garage.
And yeah, since we're not a shop, we're always repping our friends.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are pros, like so, Kenny's House of Horsepower, all these guys that help us out. Natalie, who does the seats and all that.
Killer B.
And yeah,
That was
we
it.
wanted to do something a little more bubblegum. It was coming out of
It
COVID.
was his brain
And
stepped out
so
of the
yeah, so we wanted to do something more with like a 70s van theme, sort of a bubblegum type, something everybody would like. Yeah, because again, it started with just, a build for me, and then it sort of ended up, as a show bike, I guess you'd call it.
creating emotion when people see it. Because
That's
they could feel the love that went into it when we built it.
that's the way it is, though. When you get the love and the time into it, that's what it turns out. Something like that one did. I mean, that's been all over. I see it all over social media and just everywhere. So
Especially
Yeah.
when it's your friends that are helping you and they're just doing it because they love you too.
It's
That's-
fun.
Love is everywhere about it.
It's fun.
Yep.
That's why I think it turned out so well.
Chopper community.
yes. So I guess that means you said about 5 years ago. So my next question was, how long have you been building bikes for? And
That was our first bike.
So
Or mine anyway.
no, it was the first bike we did together. We finished the 69 Shovelhead behind us, this Black Mamba bike. We've got a few more in the queue. And I've been, working and fooling around with some old Triumph, some bobbers and stuff like that. So it's been, I don't know, a decade or so, that we've been actually working on the bikes. But that's about it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So the um do you have do you guys have done other builds too besides choppers like baggers or anything? You just answered the outside of Harley. So or do you mainly stick to the choppers and stuff?
Yeah, I've always been a chopper kid. I grew up, that was always the thing I loved more than anything else for all the builds. I started riding dirt bikes, but then it was always choppers. And then that's why the Triumphs, bobbed them out and sort of cut them up. And those were always easy to work on. And then, I have done a straight Steve McQueen, Triumph as well. So, a desert bike. And so, and you never know. I
have a
mean,
bagger.
and he has a bagger.
But guess what? There's something about a bike that has no turn signals, no front brake, no mirrors on it, and no speedometer. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. That's I was just telling somebody the other day, why real choppers don't have odometers on them?
Because they don't speed. They
No.
can't.
Yeah, for the old Ford.
Oh,
Ford
yeah, that's
speeds.
it. Or odometer. You're right, miles.
It's because when the choppers start doing chopper things, you just count the steps.
There you go. Yeah.
No,
When you
that's
push
how
these-
most of my bikes are.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
fancy on them.
Yeah, very nice.
No speedo, no turn
The
signals.
basics and the
Right.
fact that we use older motors is even.
We like
Yeah.
the
I like the
Yeah.
older motors to keep the history alive.
So do your builds stick to the original plan from start to finish, or does it kind of build itself as it goes?
It always starts with a drawing. We do a little bit of loose math, and then I'll usually sketch something up, and we sort of go with a theme. And then, a lot of the times we build them up around the motor, and then they evolve because we include all of our buddies, and so a lot of them have good ideas, and so
And we'll be sitting here having beers at night and be like, you know what, this might look good. This might be
Yeah.
amazing. We'll have a conversation about it and we'll just do it.
we'll tweak things. But yeah,
Just change it.
starts with a rough sketch, starts with a rough plan and the idea.
But at that point, it's just
From where it goes, it just goes.
accent stuff. At that point, the main build is all about the drawing, but the accent stuff we always are trying to make it better and attention to detail.
Yep. So what is your favorite part of the build?
My favorite part is I get to do it with my best friend.
I agree. I think it's the fact that we get to do this together. We both have full-time jobs and we just sit here in the evenings and monkey around. And so I think that, and then I do have to say, one of my favorite parts though is the paint is when, when we, I've got an opinion on who I think my
Best
two
in the
favorite
country.
painters are. And so that's, Scott Takis he's got Underground Art Studio, and then Killer B.
And he's in our backyard.
They're both, yeah. And so I like the paint too.
Hey,
I like when you actually get it because I like working on all of the different things and all the part of the build. But yeah, I love when you get to that final stage and you get to see sort of that finished product.
And I have some advice for people that are doing stuff. You go to your painter, you have an idea. You give him the idea, but let the artist do the art. Let him express himself too.
Well, and some of the builders are actually great painters themselves.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
and that is awesome.
But if you're paying somebody to paint,
that's good advice.
That's the way that's the way we did it. We gave the painter the idea and said, "Here you go." And don't. But that's the part that I like too is when you get done with it and you look at it when all the parts come back and they have color on them, and even the frame when it's got coating on it or the chrome comes back, everything starts coming back, and you start that reassembly. That's definitely the part where you just look back at it and say, "Man, it's really coming together. It looks like something.
Yeah.
All those hours are worth it now."
Yeah, I'd say the other part too is that first kickstart. That's the other piece. Yeah, when you kick them over that first time and you hear it run. So yeah, those are my two favorites.
I think that's my favorite, actually.
Yeah,
because
right on.
There's a lot of people that don't understand.
So what advice would you have for somebody that's getting into building bikes? What kind of advice would you give them?
I'd tell them if you want to do it, you can do it. I mean, again, we're not a pro shop. we're, and if we could walk around and show you, I mean, it's literally 150 square feet. We've got a single lift. We, little air compressor, a little welding table, and so I think the best advice I could give anybody is that if you really want to do it, you can do it. It's not something that's out of reach for anybody, which is also why I love Chopper so much, because yeah, if you want to do it, you can do it.
I would say surround yourself with good people that,
Yeah.
will do whatever to help you out, because that's where we are at.
And I
We
tell
wouldn't
you,
be here without our friends.
one thing too on the chopper community is that, man, if you're getting into it, don't be afraid to ask questions, because
Exactly.
everybody in that community will answer questions and give you
Yes, they will.
legitimate
Hopefully, if you
answers.
don't, then I'm sorry. You
But
had
no,
a good
you're
day.
right. They are. A lot of the folks will answer any questions you've got. And if you're sincere about it, absolutely.
And hit us up if you have a question, and if we can't answer it, we'll find somebody that will help.
Yeah.
End of story.
That's definitely the way that it is. So, and then speaking of the younger generation, what would you say to the younger generation getting into motorcycles to inspire them to share our passion for motorcycles?
I think it's the same thing as a lot of folks. It's the freedom. It's actually being able to do what you want to do, have your vision come to, like, a complete sort of thing. And, for the younger folks, yeah,
It's an expression.
yeah, it's an expression, and you get to express yourself, and it's something you get to control end to end. And, if you do start it, just keep grinding away.
And it's going to be unique to you, and
Yeah.
you know what? You'll have a one of a kind motorcycle because it's built.
Choppers, and yeah, and or even
For
if
you.
it's not, but yeah, it's
your
a
idea.
unique, it's one of a kind.
Even if you do something like a different exhaust or something that just whatever, this is your
And again, like you said,
expression.
yeah, and everybody will answer questions. If you need
Should.
help, or
They should.
if there's something you need help with, a lot of the folks are going to be really willing to help. So
Nice. So, what's your personal highlight from last year's season?
What? I'm sorry.
last year's season. So what was the big
personal.
highlight?
Sorry.
I think,
Sorry about that. That's my phone. I'm important.
And
Sorry.
so yeah, kill that.
Yeah, thank you.
And so
Thank you, Shane.
I think last year was we ended the year, and since we're not a shop, we were doing this for ourselves and just sort of having fun. I think ending up on the cover of a magazine is probably, there was the Spirit of Sturgis Award, there was a few of these different things. And I think the fact is we set out just to build a bike and do it for ourselves, for fun. I think
And
ending up on the cover of a magazine is pretty crazy.
Sorry. That's
Yeah.
just epic.
Yeah.
We didn't even ask for it. We didn't expect that. We
grew up around Easy Riders, and it won its way onto the cover. So it wasn't like,
it was,
who or anything like that. So yeah, I think getting to meet a lot of the people too over the past year. I think actually getting to meet some of these builders and some of the up and coming guys that I've really always, admired.
and
Yeah.
people that are some are still too that are but just really nice people that accepted us, and we're like friends now.
Yeah.
That's probably the best part is we're now friends with
Andy
a lot of
Boyd,
people.
Brock Bridges, and
and
Randy,
Randy,
Cycle
and
Showcase, and all that.
all their friends.
Yourself, your son.
Yeah, you come on, dude.
Yep.
I think that's really
I
been the
think that's
best part is actually getting to meet more of the community.
Yes, getting out there in the community, getting realized what's
Meeting.
going on.
Yeah.
Nice, cool people.
So, I mean, the magazine cover is a pretty big one. That's probably going to answer this next question too. What would you say is your damn I did this moment?
I think it was I think it was Dream School at the Colorado Motorcycle Expo. We went into, we had never entered a show, we had never done anything like that. And there was a bunch of really beautiful bikes there. And Ryan Gore, all these guys. I mean, there was bikes that were our favorite bikes there at the show. And
expecting second place.
We didn't expect anything. And so winning a best of show was a really, well, yeah, I don't even think,
Second, please.
and
And then we
and actually Ryan Gore is a good example too. He said something to me that was interesting, because if you are, and I guess this is for the younger generation too, if you're going to do shows, second place, I mean, doing the show is the big part of it. That's the big step. And it's not, about winning. It's, I've heard guys that are famous builders that have said, I got a garage full of second place trophies, and I'll never forget that. And so for us, I think that oh damn moment for us was, going to a show and ended up winning a show, which was not what we even set out to do, but was, oh damn moment.
But our I think our point is we will talk to everybody and let them feel what we felt when we were building it. We'll put kids on our motorcycle. We let people interact with it, and do it. Just regular people walking around and letting them tell us how much they appreciate our work, and
what the
letting them know
Odam,
that
that's
we're
a good
thankful for that.
The Odam moment, I guess, would be this: is that people actually wanted to see what we built. And so that, I think, is it. It's not even winning the show or anything else. It's the fact that, you actually, people want to see what you did and they want to talk to you about it. And again, goes back to your earlier question about the younger generation. It's, it's about just doing it. So.
Yep. So would you say that the chopper crowd is different than the rest of the motorcycle community, and how?
Yes, in a good way. I think everybody, a lot of the times you see a lot of the folks rally around, and particularly choppers, because, that's what we do, is we sort of build sketchy choppers. And, it's not uncommon for me to, be broken down on the side of the road or something. And a lot of the guys will stop. They'll wait with you. They'll hang out. They'll give you advice. They'll help. They'll try and sort of help fix things. And I think, the motorcycle community as a whole is great. And I think it's beautiful that everybody loves riding bikes. I think the chopper community is more of that group of, sort of artists, I guess.
Right.
So.
And we just appreciate everybody's bike.
Yeah, and they love everything.
They love everything.
Doesn't matter.
Everybody's bike is an expression of themselves.
Yeah.
Don't poo-poo that. We love to see the individual friggin'
chopped Hondas, chopped Triumphs, Harleys.
So somebody's bagger that looks different that that they feel about.
Like,
we'd love to.
Communities are different, but they're also the ones that I think typically love all motorcycles.
Right. Yeah. So, what in your eyes defines a chopper?
Basically a hand-built art piece. I don't know, or not even an art piece. Something that's hand-built, however you want.
Yeah, I think it's and you'll get. I'm sure you get all kinds of different answers on this. It's got to be chopped. It's got to be everything. I think typically, like, a lot of the choppers are the ground up. A lot of folks they build them ground up. You got a lot of guys in the community that do everything themselves. I think a chopper, in my mind, is it's definitely it's hands-on. It's just something that somebody really put the time into. It's hands-on, and they really did something on, with their own hands. It's not, and there's nothing wrong with off-the-line bikes because of, it's all motorcycles, but the choppers are, typically hands-on.
And like we said, it was art. It's art.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
even if they're rusty as heck, they're still art.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about a chopper, right? Doesn't have to be a show bike. I think that's the thing, And these guys, I mean, a bunch of these guys, they ride them,
right?
So they put their time in, they build them, they ride them. So,
right on. Well, what would you say the chopper scene is making a comeback?
I hope so.
I hope
because
so.
it would be a lost art if it disappeared.
And I think it is. I think everything goes in cycles. It's like everything else.
Right.
And in the motorcycle world, I think choppers, though, Well, and they've never gone away. They've always been there.
They've always
And
been lurking.
yeah, you can always go back to all these, old, Marlon Brando movies and like Easy Rider and things like that. And they do. Sometimes, they, sort of hit a peak. It cycles. But yeah, the chopper community, and there's a lot of young builders that are doing some just amazing,
Right.
amazing things.
And as long as they have people to help them and
Yeah.
build them up, that's gonna help.
Well, and I think, the internet's helped too, because
Exactly.
suddenly, you used to have to know somebody if you needed something
Right.
custom, like you were looking for unique parts. And now with the ability it's more accessible.
Or advice.
Yeah,
Whatever.
and advice, everything.
Yeah. It just
So
makes
I think
easier.
it is. I think it's going to stick around, and
I
I
hope
think it'll just get better.
I kind of got worried when the M8 stuff came out and those bikes came out, and then I was like, man, that's gonna kill the chopper thing. And then bam, first thing right off the bat, they're building it. They're hiding all
Yeah.
that wiring, hiding all those computers, and it's happening. So I thought that was
Yeah.
awesome. So I like the
People like
new
you,
technology coming
uh,
into choppers.
Yeah, no, this is a
as
good
long as
point.
people like you that keep friggin', showcasing the people that you meet and keeping it alive, bro. And we
Yeah.
appreciate you for that.
I mean, thank you. I appreciate that because that's the biggest reason I did this is because, man, we got to make, it's about spreading that community because if we don't spread it and express
gonna
that
die.
stuff, it dies with us. Like I told you guys
Yes.
before camera. And I mean, I'd like choppers to be around forever because, man, I like riding the road. I got a road glide. I like riding it. But
Yeah,
man,
mine.
I'd rather hang out on a chopper and do chopper things and walk around pushing that chopper because I mean, I've joked with people before, they have ride-in bike shows and they have all these different classes. Man, where's the walking class? Because mine broke down. I've been walking for a mile to get here.
Hey, I have a tow truck that tows motorcycles. I would not have a living without the chopper community.
Hey, man.
Yeah. So
Here's your freaking flyer, by the way.
That's right. Sketchy choppers.
Even though he never pays, I'm a fucking asshole. And he pays me in Modelo. That's fine.
what events or rides do you guys have planned for this year that somebody can catch you at?
I think the big one's probably Sturgis this year. We usually, if you don't mind me listing a few of the ones we love, I think Cycle Showcase is always a big one. I
And
think
Ozarks.
Yeah, I think the Ozarks is a great one. I think Arizona Bike Week has always been a really nice one. Sturgis, obviously. I think, and then shows too, like the Mama Tried guys do an incredible event as well. They've got multiples. This year for us, I think, the goal is to get this next build done for Sturgis. And so, but yeah, and then
So
of course,
be in Sturgis.
yeah, and then our local one that we're always favorite is Scott, who runs the motorcycle expos. And so here in Colorado.
Great person.
Yeah.
Keeping bikes alive.
Do you guys have what's your social media? Do you have another page besides Instagram? Do you do anything on YouTube or anything like that?
No, so no YouTube. And then Joe dropped out of social media because he got sick of it. And so the Butler Gang is the main page. And I think like we were talking about earlier off camera, it was never meant to be like a social media thing. It was really more started because it's really nowadays it's the photo album that we used to have as kids. So that was more for my kids to just see, what I've done. And then we do typically when I do a bike now, if we're, attempting a show bike, we'll typically do an account for the bike. So,
and not to compete with you, but I'm kind of ridiculous, and we want to do a podcast, and we'll.
No, you've
just
actually
it would be just retarded.
No.
You've been actually good.
I've been really on.
Yeah, you've been really good because
it's so hard.
In our case, yeah, if we were going to do something like this, it'd probably last one episode before they paid us.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of work. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. It's like then you get people it's hard like the schedule part, especially on mine because it's not like I've got a normal job, but luckily I had downtime to get this started. And it was therapy for me because it was a way to keep my fuel passion up for motorcycles. I was like, man, I'm sick of laying here in this hospital bed. How can I get up and figure out a way to talk to people?
No, and it's
So-
important. It's important because this keeps it alive.
And it's therapy for us too, because we work all day and then we come here, we bond, we have fun, building
Yeah.
a motorcycle, and it lets us talk about our day, how crappy it was or whatever, and we still just build a
Yeah, but
motorcycle.
the two of us doing
And
a podcast
Holy
for the
cow.
older folks, it'd be like my age, it'd be
Yeah.
like an Abbott and Costello routine. For the newer folks, it's more like Step Brothers.
Yeah, I need a
And
freaking
so-
guidance suggested
Oh, man.
sign around my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is pretty much everything that I have for the night. I definitely appreciate all of you guys' time and coming in. I look forward to seeing your stuff on Instagram. So if you have
Thanks for
anything you
having
want, do you have anything else in closing that you want?
Yeah, you know what? If you don't mind, a couple thanks out there, and this is for the younger folks too. There's some folks around that are really good about the choppers and everything, and so Ryan Gore, Paper Street
Right.
Customs,
That was sad.
Natalie Tafoya, Soul Mama on Instagram, Devil's Head Choppers, Brando has always been there, Lou, Palmer Lake V Twin, and
Kenny,
yeah, and Kenny, of course, one of the best motor guys that is around, and and he races and drags his own bikes, and so there's a lot more folks that we're forgetting, but for a couple of the folks that are out there,
being
yeah, the Blacktop Chopper guys and all these guys, and then actually, you know what, here
Arlen.
locally, Arlen. Yeah, Two Wheelers Motorcycle Shop, which is in Sturgis in Colorado. Yeah,
B, Killer B,
yeah.
Carpe, Shane.
And so,
Who's-
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do my work because I wouldn't have beers if he didn't.
And so I think if anybody's looking and they want to do these things, there's a couple names of folks that have always helped us and that have some incredible work, and they'll help people out. And they've got parts and paint and all these things.
Choppers.
And that's where it should be. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, well, you guys get back to building them killer choppers, man.
We
You got
appreciate you, and it was a
Yeah.
pleasure meeting you in Kansas.
and you guys
Yeah,
do the same.
definitely.
Keep building, and we'll see you soon.
And tell your
Oh yeah,
son I
we'll
said
see you
hi.
soon. I'll see you guys out there. I'm hoping to
Yeah,
maybe see
you
you.
got it.
Saturday,
I said hi.
so,
All right. Thanks, boss.
yeah,
Please tell
thank
your
you.
son I said hi.
Take care.
All right, guys. Well, please make sure and check them out there on Instagram. It's the Butler Gang. I'll share it in the description afterwards. It was fun hanging out with them there in the shop, having fun, working on killer choppers, getting stuff ready. And if you haven't seen the Dreamsicle Cycle, it was a good turnout. You guys have a good night, and we will see you later. I'm going to run that outro.
Sweepers, sweepers.